everybody, from Common Room Radio. I'm Sarah Kate Pazant.
And I'm Elizabeth Stevens.
And welcome to Disney Villain Deathmatch.
Ba, 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 ba.
We did it backwards, so we were a little confused.
I like that.
It was good. No, it's
There's
great.
no reason why we can't do it that way.
Exactly. We can do whatever we want. It's our show. Your shirt looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm wearing a romper today.
Wow.
I'm so stylish and fashionable
You
and
sure
trendy.
are. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thanks very much.
This week, we are doing the Evil Queen from Snow White versus Syndrome from The Incredibles, and we did something a little bit different this week. First of all, we're very late. We apologize for that. Thanks for being patient about that. There was construction. There was nothing we could do.
Yeah. The house next door is being rebuilt, and you guys, it's a mess. And
It's giant
so
mess.
much noise, so we just couldn't work with that. We had to wait for a weekend.
Yep. But what we did was that Elizabeth actually is the one who watched Snow White, and I watched The Incredibles, so that's how we're going to be doing it this time around, which I'm really looking forward to,
This is going to be, like, put up your dukes. I'm fighting for my girl. You're fighting for your guy.
Yes.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I like this.
I think so, too, especially because, you keep saying that the Evil Queen's going to win, but I don't know. Like, Syndrome has a lot going for him.
All right.
So we'll see. So let's talk about the Evil Queen first. Let's talk about your first impressions for the Evil Queen.
Okay. She is, in fact, beautiful and also, like, mystical. And she's very haughty, obviously, very arrogant, very regal, and her costuming is on point.
Yeah.
She's got the awesome cape. Her cloak is so billowy. She's got the red, the black, the purple, which is super classic. I mean, she's the Disney villain.
Yes.
She's the number one. She is the one to beat because of that. I mean, she is the classic Disney villain. So I think we're going to have a hard time. Or I think you're going to have a hard time, rather. Because she came out swinging. So tell me about your guy. Tell me about Syndrome, because I remember him being, kind of a whiner.
He is a little bit of a whiner, which is the thing. The interesting thing about Syndrome is that he doesn't start out as a villain. It starts out at the very beginning of the film when he's a little boy and wanting to be a sidekick to Mr. Incredible. And Mr. Incredible wants nothing to do with him, says that he works alone. But the interesting thing is that Syndrome doesn't have any superpowers. He lives in this world where superheroes exist. He doesn't have superpowers. He's basically Tony Stark. Like, he's just really, really smart.
Yeah.
Like, wicked smart. He invented... the kid's like 9, 10 years old and invented rocket boots that work really well. Yeah.
Good call. Okay.
So your first impressions of him are, this is just a fanboy who has gone a little over the top. So whenever you're first seeing him, you don't realize he's a villain. When he pops up later as a villain, it's literally inside of his lair, which we'll get to in a minute, but it is inside of a volcano, which I think is pretty baller. And
a lair in a volcano is pretty baller. I can give you that. Sure.
Yes. But he appears to be, at first impressions, he's very, very competent. He has a lot of toys. He's got a lot. When you think about like superheroes and supervillains, he is like the super villain. He's got the secret lair on the island, like cut away from everybody else. He's got all these, all this money that he's able to spend on all this tech, like rockets and robots and monorails.
I feel like that's like a James Bond villain. For a James Bond villain, I think he's amazing. He's got it going on. But for a Disney villain, I feel like he's missing the mark a little bit.
Well, maybe. That's why we have these categories, and we determined them based on what is a Disney villain. So let's talk about their motivations. What were the Evil Queen's motivations?
She wants to be the most beautiful person in the land, and she will kill anybody she has to be the most beautiful.
Wow. That's pretty good.
That's villainous.
Yeah.
She is crazy about it. Like, she's gleeful about the idea of killing this young girl. Just gleeful.
That makes sense.
Yeah. She's really creepy. She's hella creepy. But she just wants to be the prettiest. That's her whole thing.
That's her whole thing.
Yeah.
Just wants to be pretty, huh?
Yep.
So Syndrome's motivations are that he wants to be able, basically what it turns out is that, whenever I say he's like Tony Stark, he really is. Like, he becomes a weapons manufacturer, and he starts creating like all of these weapons and these giant like robots and lasers and all this stuff that he's selling to various governments in various countries who will basically pay all this money in order to like have their own version of superpowers. And his motivation is basically what he wants ideally is, so he starts creating these robots that he then uses to kill at least 20 superheroes, but probably more, because we keep cutting away from the scene where we see all of the folks that he's actually killed.
Yeah.
But he's killed definitely at least 20 of them.
He's killed 20.
Yes, at least 20. certainly more than, but definitely, I mean, like the ones that I was able to count was 20. And what he's doing is that he's creating these robots that are going to be so powerful that any other superhero that goes up against them would lose and would not be able to fight them. But he, because he's got like the remote control to them, could stop them to make himself look like he's the best superhero, even though he doesn't have powers and he did it himself. And like he's
That's
like
pretty dastardly.
a pull yourself up by your laser bootstraps kind of guy. So that's basically his motivation, is he wants to show that, you know, you can be super powered without being born with powers.
That is pretty dastardly.
Yes.
That's pretty manipulative. Okay.
Yeah. So our next thing is talking about lairs. You want to talk to us about the Evil Queen's lair?
Okay. Well, she's got the whole castle, which is cool. And like where the mirror is, she also has this really epic peacock throne, which I thought was excellent design. Well done, Disney. However, what really did it for me was when she transforms into the evil witch and she goes down into the cellar. First of all, again, with the cloak like billowing behind her. It's amazing. It's super great. And then when you get down there, it's like classic Halloween decorations. Again, just classic is the word for this villain. I mean, she was the first one. She literally wrote the book. And this is, she's got like all the potions manuals.
Sure.
Spell books. That's what she's got. She's got all the spell books. She's got, you know, there's cobwebs, there's skulls, there's all the crazy beakers and stuff that's very like mad scientist laboratory, also very witchy. There's a cauldron. It's pretty baller. I really think that it's actually the word I think I used was lit. Thank you. I have a 12-year-old, so that word entered my vocabulary. She does.
She gets so embarrassed.
God, Mom. Yeah, it's true.
That's hysterical. Okay, so Syndrome, again, his lair is literally within, he owns this little tropical island that has a giant volcano on it, and his dinner table is next to a giant falling curtain of lava. I can't imagine how ridiculously hot it is in there.
It must be pretty warm.
Pretty warm. Everyone seemed fine.
Really good HVAC unit.
Yes, absolutely. He's got great AC going on in there. But yeah, so he's got this crazy, I mean, like just this huge, like super villainous, I mean, and not even just a lair, because like lair makes me think of like you've got like one centralized location where you do all your stuff. He's got a whole island. There's monorails all over this island to get like his, you know, his lackeys from like one area to another. And he built all of this. He made all the money by building all these weapons and selling the weapons. And then like he built this entire island. And well, I probably didn't build the island, but like built all the stuff within the island. Also, inside of the volcano is where his giant rocket ship is, and he built vents throughout the island, like that tunnel through the island itself, so that whenever the rocket goes up and it explodes, all of the like smoke and fire and dust, everything has places to go. So he's really smart. He's really designed this very well. Yes, incredibly capable. So he's got not only the dining room next to the volcanic lava, but he's also got, you know, all of his like computer rooms and science. So he's got a giant rocket ship. He's got this really cool place where he whenever he has a captor, when somebody has like invaded the island and there's an intruder, he has this huge machine that opens up and it's got the person like trapped by their arms, by their hands and their feet, and it's also like a big shocking machine. So like you can like turn it up to 11 and like send like volts and volts and volts of electricity through these people, and it like keeps them hovering in the air, which is a super cool effect and really neat. And yeah, I mean like it is a villainous Disneyland basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A villainous Disneyland. It is a monorail. Okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah. So how about minions?
Okay. Here's the thing. Does the magic mirror count as a minion?
I'm going to say yeah.
The magic mirror is really cool. The magic mirror is very gothic, creepy, eerie, magical, mystical, dark, and I really like it. Her other minion, though, is the huntsman. She calls him her faithful huntsman, but he's not very faithful.
No, he's not.
He's kind of a pushover, actually, which is great. He's a nice guy, so he spares Snow White because he doesn't want to cut out the heart of a 14-year-old girl and serve it back to the evil queen, which is great and nice, but not a good minion for the evil queen. Pretty bad minion. Yeah. So her mirror is. Here's the thing about the mirror, though. I have to admit, it's not very helpful. Like, it can tell you who's pretty, but that's really all it could do. Really, when, like, stuff goes down, it's not going to be so helpful to you, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe not a great minion. Aesthetically, very pleasing and creepy and great.
But I mean, one, instance of blunt force trauma and the mirror's out. I mean, you just break the mirror and it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably not actually very useful as a minion, but definitely very cool.
Yeah. Certainly very cool looking, practically so-so.
Practically so. Yes.
So Syndrome has an entire island full of masked lackeys. Who are just your generic bad guys running around with guns. They attack the Incredibles. They attack the you know the Parr family and all of this. But the one who I think is really interesting is Mirage, who is his girlfriend and also his lackey.
Vague recollection of this, yes.
Yes, so
Okay.
she's like the really pretty girl with like the silver hair and like the little bit of a lilt to her accent and all of this. And she is the one who goes and finds presumably all of the superheroes. Like she's going around like in the car and like finding these guys and then getting them the information to get them to get to the island and fight the robot and all of this stuff. And so she's really capable that way because she's able to get the manila envelope that has all the information to it, like to Robert Parr in his insurance office without anybody seeing her. Just, you know, walks right in, walks right out. It's totally fine. And then when you actually get there, she's the one who has dinner with you because Syndrome didn't want to show himself off yet to Mr. Incredible.
Right,
because he didn't want him to recognize
That's right.
him. But Mirage is really sexy, I think, and just like very smart, very capable. She knows how to work the rocket ship. She knows how to work all of the various tech that's all across the island, and that's like part of like the security systems and things like that. The only thing is that she also doesn't remain super faithful throughout.
Right.
But to be fair, that's because so Mr. Incredible manages to like grab her whenever he's trapped in the giant electro machine, and this is after Mr. Incredible thinks that his family has died because Syndrome straight up is like, no, I'm going to blow up this plane. I don't care that there are kids on it because he is cray cray.
Yeah, that's pretty villainous.
And Mirage, even whenever she hears Helen over the intercom saying there are children aboard, abort, there are children.
Right.
Mirage is like, okay, and like wants to like step back from the situation.
Right.
But Syndrome totally doesn't. So Mr. Incredible manages to grab her, and he's like, I could snap her in half, I could break it like a toothpick. And Syndrome straight up is like, do it. I don't even care. Like, do it. I know that you won't, but give it a shot. And so then Mirage gets really frustrated, understandably, and ends up telling Syndrome, you know, the next time that you want to gamble, bet your own life. And so she ends up actually helping the Incredibles, helping them to get into the second rocket to go and fight the robot that's been sent to the city. So very capable, very smart, I think has a lot of agency, but again, not faithful to him the entire time. Because he was going to let her die, basically, which is fair.
So this is interesting. Yeah, I think that I'm going to have to give it to Syndrome for the minions, though, because he at least has like competent minions. Period.
Yeah.
Evil Queen has no competent minions.
No,
I mean,
she's just got.
She's very capable herself.
Yes,
she gets stuff done.
Yeah.
But yeah, no actual minions of her own. So okay, all right,
for sure. Okay, so the next thing is means to their end, which is how when we talk about like how did they accomplish their goal or how did they attempt to accomplish their goal. So what was up with the Evil Queen?
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Evil Queen here because this is where she really just got crazy on me. First of all, when she gets the huntsman first and says, go cut out her heart. But first, she's all very, lead her out to the meadow to pick wildflowers. And there, my faithful huntsman, you will kill her. And she gets these crazy eyes, right? Asks for her heart in a box. This particular box, please.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, I feel like that's pretty strong. Anyway.
Sure, yes.
Bring me her heart in a box.
Absolutely, yeah.
When that doesn't work, she's ready to do this herself.
Yes.
That's when she goes down into the really cool creepy lair, the dungeon lair, right? She does the creepy spell with like the old hag's cackle to deepen her voice.
Yes.
And the dark of night to be her disguise. It's very cool. And then she thinks to look up the antidote, which was very smart.
That was very smart.
She sees what the antidote is, finds that it's true love's kiss, and then she goes super crazy again, starts cackling with, and now it's the evil dark cackle, you know, because she's got like the crazy disguise already, and says, well, you know, the dwarves are going to think that she's dead, so she'll be buried alive. Cackle, cackle, cackle. Buried alive. Cackle, cackle, cackle. It was very disturbing.
Yeah,
I thought. You know,
I don't like that.
And it's a kid's show, too. Let's not forget. So that was pretty creepy. And then she does this whole creepy old hag through the mist thing as she's going, again, she's going herself. She's going to go get the job done. She's going.
Well, and she does the whole thing with the poison apple, right? She pulls it up. It's like got the skull on it. And
right.
Yeah,
that's what I mean for changing that. Yes, I should have said that. So she makes the poison apple, of course, so she can give it to her, watch her take a bite, and watch her die.
Yeah.
She also makes it red, so it's tempting to her. She's cackling again about how Snow White's kindness is going to be her undoing because she is going to look like a harmless old peddler woman. She's enjoying it way too much. She's just super creepy.
Just really wants to kill this 14-year-old.
Right. Yeah, and when the 14-year-old girl is like, I'm not sure, she goes a step further and says, well, this is a magic wishing apple. One bite and all your dreams come true. She will stop at nothing, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she gives the girl she gives Snow White the apple. She watches her takes the bite. She watches her fall to the ground. She would probably bury her herself if the dwarves didn't come in just then. And and I guess that's it for now. So yeah, we'll go on to her death later.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yes, cool. Excellent. So Syndrome, again, he's wanting to end up to where he ends up looking like the good guy, right? Like he wants to end up looking like the ultimate superhero. And so what he's willing to do, like I said, he killed at least 20 superheroes.
Yeah.
People who were, at this point in the film, just living their lives regularly, because what has happened is that within this universe, all of the superheroes have gone into hiding, and they're working in insurance companies. They're working as like lawyers. They're stay-at-home moms, just taking care of the house and taking care of the kids. And so he manages to lure these people out with, tales of like the glory days, and remember how it used to be and how you used to help people and save people and remember all these really good qualities about yourself, lures them out that way, and then straight up murders them so that he can make a better murder bot.
That is very bad.
It's very bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also pretty good. He doesn't just kill a 14-year-old girl, although he's absolutely willing to. Again, totally did not take the rockets away from the ship whenever it was going to get, or from the plane when it was going to blow up with Dash and Violet still on board. But yeah, straight up killed 20 grown-up superheroes who all presumably were good people just trying to do good. Yeah.
I have to admit that the Evil Queen didn't actually kill anyone.
No, she's not.
Okay. All right. So now what?
Now
it's how they bit it, right?
I think so, yes. So our final thing is how they bit it. And finally, for a while, it had been a little bit since we had like some Disney villains who actually died, but both of our Disney villains do end up dead in this round, which is, exciting. Glad about that. So tell me about the Evil Queen.
Mine's pretty epic. She's running away from the dwarves and all the animals in the storm. She's climbing all these slick rocks, and she gets up to this cliff, and she's got her prying board, and she's trying to, every time it's a Simpsons joke, no one gets it, it's fine. Anyway. Anyhow, so she gets this big old stick, and she is going to pry up this boulder to crush all of the dwarves beneath her. So again, she's very willing to kill people. She just isn't quite able.
Yeah.
And I think that she would have, I would have gotten away with it too, except that there was, an act of God.
Yeah, God straight up was like, no.
Exactly. There was a lightning strike, and it hits right on the ledge where she is. She plummets to her death, and then the vultures circle above her.
Oh, to consume her splattered corpse.
To consume her splattered corpse.
Disgusting.
Pretty cool, I think.
Cool. Yeah, as far as villain deaths go, I mean, like, falling to your death is pretty standard for Disney villains. I think it's like the number one cause of death for Disney villains.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see that as we're moving forward. Yeah, so many
three
do.
just to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
Just right off the top of my head.
So the way that Syndrome bites it is first he goes back to after his robot is defeated by the Incredibles. There in, I think it's called Metroville or Metro City or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the city.
Sure.
That's not New York City and not Metropolis and not Gotham. The superhero
that
city.
Other one.
That other one. City. Yes. Central City. What else do we have? I mean, MCU just uses Manhattan, so there's that. Yeah. Anyway, so in Metroville. So the Incredibles have beaten up the giant robot. They got it to, they use their smarts. They all work together, all of this stuff. So Syndrome has been knocked out by his own robot. He wakes up just in time to see that the Incredibles are taking all of the glory for all of his hard work. And so he leaves and goes to their suburban home where their infant son Jack is with the babysitter Kari.
Right.
Syndrome gets Kari out of there, and his plan is to kidnap Jack and raise him up as his own sidekick to like hate his parents and be a villain and all this stuff. So his jet is up in the sky. He escapes the house just as the Incredibles get there, and they see that he's got Jack. He flies up into the air, and this is when we find out that Jack actually does have powers, and he like gets all like flame-o'd and then turns into Metal Mario and then turns into a tiny Hellboy.
Crazy powers.
Well, I think
it's weird.
I don't know what the situation is necessarily like in this world, but I don't know if Jack is just like, there's a possibility that like you go through a bunch of powers before you settle on like what your power actually will be, which God, if you think toddlers are bad now, can you imagine if your toddler just spontaneously combusted and just crawled about the house? It would be the worst. Yeah, it would be bad. Whew. So anyway,
spaghetti is hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So Syndrome's up the air. He's got Jack. Jack starts transforming, freaks out Syndrome. He knocks. Jack actually breaks one of Syndrome's rocket boots, and so he slams into his own jet. And because he's wearing a cape, is sucked into the jet engine.
Sucked into a jet engine.
Sucked into a jet engine and turned into a fine red mist. And will never, ever. I mean, you don't see the fine red mist, but I know how jet engines work.
Yep.
This man becomes particulates in the air.
Yes.
Yeah, viscera particulates.
That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like he's a perfect Bond villain.
Sure, yeah.
This is very interesting because they're two such very different styles.
Yeah, that's the thing is that the other thing is I think that, because we talked about this a lot whenever we were doing Disney Princess Deathmatch and how like the contemporary princesses just got more points.
They just couldn't
simply
help it.
because they were more contemporary and they fit in a little more with our ideals and things like that. So I'm certain that we've got a little bit of that going on. But before we really decide and before we really figure out, who is the ultimate winner here.
Yeah, who are we damseling this week, Sarah?
Well, I think that last time we said that it was just gonna be Tony Stark from here on out.
Oh, did we?
Because he's owned by Disney, and you were tired of damseling women.
It's true. Well, I think that here's the thing, though. We have to damsel somebody really, really pretty.
Okay, all right. Let's damsel Chris Evans.
Into it. Okay. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry, Cap.
So not Chris Evans. Okay. We are damseling Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Okay, Steve Rogers,
so
Captain
Steve
America.
Rogers lands his plane in the middle of the Arctic and is in the ice, and the Evil Queen and Syndrome need to get to him first. Okay. Who's going to manage it?
All right, because obviously Syndrome would want to get to the superhero to kill him.
Yes.
And Evil Queen wants to get to him because obviously he's fairer than
very, very beautiful.
He's very, very beautiful.
He's very pretty. Way prettier than the Evil Queen, and she cannot have that.
Okay.
She'll be going after Peggy next. It'll be a whole thing.
All right. He's in Antarctica.
Yeah, he's crashed his plane.
There's no way Syndrome wins.
Yeah,
Syndrome totally takes this. Oh my God, it's not even a competition.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I was really thinking that she was going to be super hard to beat, but you're right. It's a modern world.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't have what it takes. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like I love her. She's excellent.
No, that's the thing. She's a great
villain.
Yeah, she's like the Disney villain. Whenever it's like Disney villains, you're like, oh, Evil Queen from Snow White. Yeah, she's beautiful. She's she's at least capable of creating things like poison apples and those spells work. But she just couldn't, clinch it there in the end. Couldn't actually murder anybody.
She didn't actually murder anyone.
No, and Syndrome murdered at least 20 adults and was gonna murder 2 kids.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And murdered a guy's family.
And even if she had murdered everyone she intended to murder, it would still only be 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be darned, y'all. I'm afraid that we're going to have to give this one over to Syndrome. I never would have seen that coming.
Yes.
It's Cruella de Vil all over again.
I know. This is wild.
Wow.
I enjoy just the wacky directions the show ends up taking us.
You never know. You just never know until you start talking about the thing. You never know until you damsel Captain America is what I'm saying.
Okay, so here in round 4, the Evil Queen versus Syndrome. Syndrome comes out the winner. Which means that in round 10, in a number of weeks from now, it's going to be Syndrome versus Jafar.
Okay.
Which is going to be really interesting.
That will be very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think that because Syndrome killed 20 folks, he's going to end up with a lot of points just moving forward.
No points.
No points. No points. No points. There are no points. We don't point this.
Well, we'll have to see. You never know. You don't know until you start talking about it.
That's
Plus, we're going to be bringing in guests then. So
yes, exactly,
so we'll
which I'm really looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So that means... so I'm really looking forward to that in a few weeks. So because we missed last week because of construction, we are going to have this episode come out this week and then another episode next week.
Right on top of that. We're not going to cheat, y'all.
No. Yeah, on June 7th, we'll drop the next episode, which is going to be The Lion King versus The Jungle Book, which means it's Scar versus Shere Khan.
That's going to be really good.
Excited about that one. That one's going to be very, very close. That's like one of the only ones that I came in and was like, no, we definitely need to have these two against each other because I'm really interested to see how it's going to go down.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be great. But that's going to come out on June 7th. And then the next episode after that will be 2 weeks after that, which will be June 21st. We'll be back. And at that point, it's going to be Mother Gothel versus Captain Hook, which I'm really looking forward to.
That'll be really interesting too. Okay,
it's gonna be really good. So we have a lot of really great episodes coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. If you have anything to add, if you are just completely shocked by how this went down, you can get in touch with us on Twitter using the hashtag DVDM. You can get in touch with us both on Twitter at Common Room Cast. You can get in touch with me personally at Elsa Grab the Salt.
I'm Lizbeth Ray 555.
If you like this show, if you want to support us, if you want to help us do more stuff, then head on over to Patreon. It's because of our Patreon support that we were able to do this show in the first place. You can go to patreon.com/commonroomradio where you can kick us $1 a month or whatever you can afford. We're also on Facebook, but we're not as good at Facebook, so maybe don't worry about Facebook. You know, who's even on Facebook anymore? Your aunt? Whatever.
I don't even have the Facebook app on my phone anymore.
I don't either. Yeah. And
I'm the one who runs the Common Room Radio Facebook, so sorry.
Whoops. We'll figure it out. You know, I mean, whatever. We're also on YouTube. We have a bunch of stuff over there. Yeah,
definitely. You can watch and or listen to everything on YouTube.
Yes, which is really, really great. And I think that's pretty much going to be it. So I'm very pleased with how this turned out.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, as always.
I think so. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week, and then we'll be back on our regular schedule after that. So once again, from Common Room Radio, I'm Sarah Kate Bazant.
And I'm Elizabeth Stevens.